Okay. Thank Hashem that we're able to learn every day. So we're learning we should have the base of Mikdash immediately. Okay, we're going to start today exactly Lamed Aleph, exactly 31. A right on the top line, top word, first word. So it's a new Mishnah. It says Haneider Mishav Se Shabbos. Someone takes a vow, it's not going to have benefit from people that celebrate Shabbos, that rest on Shabbos. So who are those people? Well, also be Yisrael can't have any benefit from a Jew. Also Bekutim, you also can't have benefit from a Kuti. Now, we're referring to Jews that keep Shabbos only, or we're referring to any Jews. I assume it means any Jew. And a Kuti would mean any Kuti, because Jewish people are called Sabbath observers. And the Kutim as well. Over here, we're going to be following the opinion that says that Kutim are considered Jewish. And they have an obligation, actually, to keep the laws. The Kutim were the people that converted. They lived in the north. They were exiled into the north of Israel. They were not Jews. They were placed there by the king, I think Sanherib, to Las Place, or whoever it was, to keep the wild animals out of that area when the 10 tribes were exiled. They didn't want it to be overrun by wild animals, so they replaced the Jews with this nation. The only thing is that the animals were coming in and eating them. So they said, well, apparently when you live here, you have to keep the Torah or else the land devours you. So they got them tutors to study Torah. So they converted. I didn't know that. I don't know. Cush is considered like Ethiopia. This is Kuta. And he was exiling people. He was moving people around. Yeah. They're still around. So, yeah, big questions about their status and all types of, irresolvable issues. Well, if that's the case, they converted and they keep the Torah, then they're obligated to keep the Torah. The only problem is that later on in the history, we found that they were worshiping an idol, and we said, okay, they're not considered Jewish. But this Mishnah is going with before that, and that's what it seems. He says, takes a vow from garlic eaters. Now, there was an institution from Ezra that on Friday night, Jewish men should eat garlic, because Friday night was the time that they would have relations. And garlic is supposed to increase the sperm. So they should eat garlic Friday night. Well, anyway, it turns out Kutim did this as well. So if he takes the vow from the garlic eaters, then who's he referring to? So he's referring to Jewish people and to Kutim. No, the bad breath wasn't part of this, right? My wife was telling me she read in one of the Holocaust stories about this girl that was making believe she wasn't a Jew. She was staying in this inn, and she was like a waitress in this inn. And this Nazi soldier comes in, and he says, she's serving him, and she says, would you like onions or something? So he says, what do you think, I'm a Jew? I'm gonna eat onions? And she got all nervous, but she couldn't say anything. But here it's garlic. Me'oli Yerushalayim, from people that take the pilgrimage to Yerushalayim, to the temple. So who would that be? Well, that's Asab Yisrael Mutabikutim. Then, if he took a vow like that, then he would be prohibited to have benefit from a Jew. It'd be permissible to have benefit from a Kuti, because the Kutim did not actually go to Yerushalayim. They went to Mount Gerizim, which they had their other things over there, their idol or whatever. My Shefsi Shabbos. What do we mean when he says that he's taking a vow from people that rest on Shabbos? If we're talking about people that observe the Shabbos, then why specifically Kutim are we saying that they observe Shabbos? Then even if there would be a non-Jew, Seventh-day Adventist or something, a non-Jew that keeps Shabbos, so that would also be a keeper of Shabbos. He shouldn't have benefit from him as well. It is a prohibition, yeah, but ignoring that prohibition. But the fact is, he observes Shabbos. He should not. This Jew that took the vow should not be allowed to have benefit from anyone that observes Shabbos. So we say that's not what he meant. He's talking about people that were commanded to keep Shabbos. So that would just be a Jew. Ihachi and Kutim, because we're considering the Kutim Jewish as well. Ihachi and Maseifa, if that's the case, you're talking about people that are commanded. So Me'el Yerushalayim Maser B'Yisrael. He takes a vow that he's not going to have benefit from people that go to the temple. And what do you mean? Not people that actually go. You mean probably people that are commanded to go. We just switched from observing to being commanded. So if that's the case, why is it mutter b'kutim, but he's allowed to have benefit from a kuti? The problem is, but a kuti is commanded to go, he just doesn't keep it. Yeah, so the Gemara answers, Amar Abaya, with the Aleph, maybe El Amar Abaya. What is it? El Amar Abaya. Mitzvah v'isa ktani. We're talking about people that are commanded and people that observe. You have to have both criteria. The Tati Babi Kamaisa, in the first two laws, what were the first two laws of the Mishnah? Keeping Shabbos and eating garlic. Yisrael v'kutim mitzuvim v'aisim. It's interesting that eating garlic goes under like commanded. It was instituted by Ezra. But that should be a Friday night dish. Yeah. Later on, someone instituted gefilte fish, but before that, it was garlic. It was
still followed today.
I don't see it. Maybe it's just put in foods. It was garlic in the foods. There's actually one place I was where they had garlic and they rubbed it on matzah. Okay. And it was roasted or raw? Roasted. I think it's supposed to be roasted. I think that's the. I'm not sure. Okay.
Pretty quick effect. Eat it Friday night.
Oh. And it should affect. Well, I guess relations were not supposed to be until midnight, traditionally. So that gives it 6 hours possible. So, but if there's a non-Jew that's going to keep Shabbos, they're just keeping it, but they're not commanded to keep it. So we're not getting both of these. We're not getting the commanded and the observance together. When it goes to those, he takes a vow from people that travel to Yerushalayim, that do the pilgrimage. Yisrael mitzuvim v'aisim, kutim mitzuvim bein aisim. I know the kutim are commanded, but they don't observe it. So that's why when he takes a vow, he's not going to have benefit from people that take the pilgrimage to Yerushalayim. He's not including kutim because they don't actually do it, even though they're commanded to do it. Okay. All good? Okay, the new Mishnah. Takes a vow, not going to have benefit from a descendant of Noah. Well, Mutter B'Yisrael, he's still able to have benefit from a Jew. You can't have benefit from a non-Jew. An idolater, it's called. B'Yisrael minafik mechlal b'nei Noach, the Gemara asks, isn't a Jew also a descendant of Noach? I mean, ultimately, is a descendant of Noach. Gemara answers, Kivin de'ikdash Avram, Yisrael Shmei. Once Avram was ikdash, sanctified, was sanctified, so then he's called a Ben Avram. Bnei Avram. That's like some tribe somewhere, but they're called the descendants of Avram, and even though theoretically, I mean not theoretically, technically they're Bnei Noach. Also, we're all Bnei Noach, but that's not the title that's been given. And so when it comes to Nedarim, you go after the title that the common title. The new Mishnah. Avram. I won't have benefit from a descendant of Avram. It says Asur B'Yisrael, then obviously he means he can't have benefit from a Jew. However, Mutter B'Dikacham, but he can have benefit from a non-Jew. The Gemara asks, V'ki Yishmael, what about the Muslims, the Arabs? What about them? They come from Avram. Gemara says, Ki Yitzchak Yikar L'Chazara, that in Isaac will be called your seed. We call to you a descendant. So it's only Yitzchak. Okay, Ksiv, that's what it says in the pasuk. V'ke Esav, well, Esav had a son. Yitzchak had a son, Esav. And what about them? They're a descendant of Avram. It says, Be Yitzchak like call Yitzchak. In Yitzchak will be called your seed, not all of Yitzchak. Half would only be the considered descendants of Avram. Okay. We usually consider like Esav or Edom, we call them Christians, Rome or something. I think that Ibn Ezra doesn't like that. He doesn't think there's any connection, Edom and Rome.
I heard one time that J.C. Penney was a reincarnation of Esav.
Yeah. Yashka was a reincarnation of Esav, he says. Yeah. Let me see if I can make that work. I don't know if I can make that fit. It could be, you could, because the Gemara does say that Esav was Yisrael Mumar. That Esav was Jewish. He just didn't observe. So that would mean that he has the neshama that could be reincarnated.
I'm not sure, but I think that they use the same letters. It's just, I'm not sure if that was the explanation.
Maybe. Yeah, you have to play with it though, because it's not perfect. All right. Okay. Next Mishnah. Sheini Nedarim Yisrael. I won't have benefit from a Jew. Now, the only problem is that he's got to go to the store and buy things. He's not supposed to have benefit from a Jew. How's he going to buy anything from the Jewish storekeepers? So it says, like, that's not a problem. Get overcharged. Then he's not having benefit from a Jew. Now, the Ran points out that it can't be that he's saying, I'm not going to have benefit from the possessions of a Jew, because then he won't, even if he's overcharged, he can't have benefit from that. He's just saying, I'm not going to have benefit from the Jew. And so therefore, in this transaction that he's involved with the Jew, he's not benefiting because he's actually losing money. He was overcharged. What if if he has a store? So he definitely can't overcharge his Jewish customers, because then he'd be benefiting from them. He took a vow, he's not going to benefit. So what if he charges the fair price? Is he benefiting? That's going to be our Gemara. Who benefits in a fair price sale? We're going to discuss this. In the market value. So what does he do just to avoid all of this? He has to say, he has to sell for less than the cost. He has to lose money on it, otherwise he'd be benefiting. So Yisrael Nenimli, let's say he says he doesn't want to give benefit to any Jew. It's the self-hating, doesn't want to have any Jews have benefits from him. So what does he do now? Like he can only buy things on sale, so the seller loses out, right? Because he doesn't want to give any benefit to the seller. And if he's the seller, then he has to overcharge him because he doesn't want to give him any benefit. I think what this means is that, but no one's going to listen to him. Who wants to get gypped, right? Okay. She'eni, it's interesting that it added that in because that doesn't seem to be a halacha. That just seems to be practical. That who's gonna go along with that. She'eni nena lahem v'hein li. This is a really antisocial person. Says I don't want to have benefit from them, and they shouldn't have any benefit from me. So I could have thought that a neder like this is not even possible to exist. It says I won't have any benefit from the people, and people won't have benefit from me. So this would be like taking a vow that he's not going to sleep or he's not going to eat, that we tell him that it's automatically violated and you might as well just go eat and sleep now. But we don't say that. We say, we say, look, there's non-Jews around and you can have benefit from them and give benefit from them and give them benefit. So just to avoid who he's in contact with. Yom Shmuel. Shmuel says, "Halikeach keli min ha'uman levakre." Someone takes a utensil from a craftsman because he wants to check it out, test drive. B'nenas biyadei, and an accident happens. Is chayev, he has to pay. Where's Ian? Ian is here. He worked in the what's it called? The Lamborghini place.
Yeah.
That would be an expensive accident.
Delivery, yeah.
No, if someone comes in to test drive, right, and then they want to see what this car can do, and then right. So he says chayev.
Last Mishnah though, that means you couldn't sell to anybody who's Jewish. Take your losses there,
Right.
But you can only sell to the non-Jew.
Right.
So don't we do that all the time? Have like buying cooperatives within the group where everybody, no one makes any profit on it, and then you sell it to the public. You might say at full price. None of these things is uncommon.
Right. Yeah. But the vow part of it, is a little odd that he should say. We're dealing with someone that's like, they have a term for litigious, like someone that's always going to court or something.
Right.
But this is someone that is always vowing, is a chronic vower. He's taking these vows for trying to figure out what his life is going to be. So what turns out over here is there's an accident, he's chayiv. Now, there's a little bit of a problem here because when it comes to watchmen, we know there's a shemer chinam. He's an unpaid watchman. He's exempt from, even if it gets stolen or lost. Then you have the paid watchman. He's chayiv if it gets stolen or lost. But for an accident, the only person that has to pay for an accident would be if he borrowed it. So over here, we're going to consider him as if he's a borrower. Why? Because he's a purchaser. And since the purchaser gets all the benefits, when there's a sale, so who benefits from that sale is the purchaser, the one that he wanted to buy the item. Alma Kasavar, Shmuel obviously holds Hanas Lekechi, that when there's a sale, the purchaser is the one that's getting all the benefits here. And if you get all the benefits, then you also have all the obligation when it gets returned. Now, usually when you purchase, you don't return it. In olden days.
Unless you're in America.
In olden days, you had a sale, you didn't know the sale was done. So how do you have a case where you're a purchaser and you're also responsible to make sure it gets back because you're purchasing it? You know the price already. basically the sale's over. Only thing is you didn't make the deal yet.
Wouldn't it be like a mutual benefit? Because the seller also benefits if not he wouldn't do you.
Yeah, we're considering this. You're right, but this is what he's saying. You're right. Hillel's saying, isn't it a mutual benefit here? You'll see soon. Let's see. Tanan learned in our Mishnah. She'eini enemy Yisrael says, I don't want to benefit from a Jew.
Oh,
So Meicher b'pachis. She'eini enemy Yisrael don't have benefit from a Jew. So if he's selling something, he has to sell it for less than the value. Otherwise, when the person pays for it, he's going to be getting benefit. Now, he has to sell it for less than the value. What about the actual value? You can't sell it for the actual value because the actual value, the seller is going to be benefiting. But that doesn't fit with Shmuel. Shmuel said that the seller doesn't benefit from a sale. It's the purchaser that benefits from the sale, and he becomes a shayal, like a borrower, the purchaser. But if it's the purchaser that gets the benefit, then why can the seller not sell it for the actual value and say, I don't get benefit from the actual value? It's the purchaser that gets, okay. Should be able to sell it for the actual value. The Gemara answers this by changing the scenario. Say, Masnisin, our Mishnah is Vina de Rami al Ape. This is actually a modern Hebrew expression. Al Panim. In English, we call it a flop on its face. In Hebrew, the Al Panim means like it was a flop. So this is the type of item that's a flop. That no one wants. No one wants to buy this. So if he would sell it for its actual price, usually the seller is the one that gains everything. All benefit from a transaction is to the seller. Here, the item was such a lousy item that even if he just sold it for the actual value, it was a benefit to the seller as well, because the item was a flop. It was anyone that's willing to take it would be benefiting the seller, giving benefit to the seller.
new Coke,
Made in China.
beer Pepsi. Yeah, so
Okay. In Kane.
no one because it was closed designed or because sold it on it. No one wants it, even though it's a bargain.
Well, it's not a bargain. It's even at the fair price.
No,
It's considered a benefit to the seller
get rid of it.
to get rid of it.
But nobody really wants it because it's out of style.
Right.
Then
So that's why. But if someone takes a vow that he's not going to have benefit from a Jew, so he can't even sell him something for the fair price, even though usually when you sell something for the fair price, the seller doesn't gain. It's the purchaser that's gaining. Usually that would be the case, but over here, because this item was such a flop, so it's considered he's gaining. So he can't sell it for the fair price. He has to be able to sell. He has to sell it for less than the price. Then he's not going to be gaining from it.
But if there's no demand, isn't that the price?
Yeah,
Price
I don't
is
know.
whatever you can sell it for.
Right. Yeah, I don't know how to match this up with. No, because we're dealing with the market value. How could there be a market value on something that, well, a higher or lower market value if no one wants it? Isn't that the translation of the market value? Right.
It's like when stores put stuff on sale. There's stuff that doesn't really have a market for it, but when they lower it, like, people get interested.
Oh, that's an interesting. So there's no such thing as a sale.
Sleepy Weisshoff.
No such thing as a sale. They put it on sale because no one's buying it.
Clearance.
They call it
Season's over, they call it clearance, but actually they'd have to throw it away.
Oh.
So that in clearance, they're getting a benefit even though it's half price. But
Uh-huh.
you think you're getting benefit. You would pay
Uh-huh.
last week, you would have paid full price.
or store for another year, like if you're selling like menorahs, like you have a high demand before Hanukkah. After Hanukkah, they're gonna have to store for another year.
Right. Right. But the storage also has a cost. So,
Yeah, that's why it's better to just get rid of it cheap. So they still benefit.
this is Black Friday.
This is Black It comes right in handy.
They say I almost bought something 50% off. I would have saved 50%, but I didn't buy it, so I saved 100%.
We have this famous in our family. Oh, I just got richer. My wife told me, we just got richer. I bought something 50% off.
It's funny.
The document here is not a company.
Okay.
It says Nigerian.
Okay, Imkane, if that's the case, we want this to be consistent because we said a case at the Mishnah where he has to sell it for less. Otherwise, he'd be gaining. If he would sell it for the fair price, he'd be gaining it. Imkane Maresha, but take a look at what it says before that. It says Lekech b'yoser. It says if he wants to buy something, he has to pay more for it. Otherwise, if he buys it for the fair price, he'd be gaining. 1 second. If he buys it for the fair price, then you said over here that the seller would be gaining because we're dealing with an item that was a flop. So if he buys it for the fair price, he's not gaining, the seller's gaining. So how are you telling me we're talking about this item that's the Rami Alape, that's Alapanim. Let's go further. The next case in the Mishnah was when he said Yisrael Nenali. He doesn't want to give benefit to a Jew. He doesn't want to give benefit to a Jew. So over there we said lekech bepachas u'meicha b'yoser. If he doesn't want to give benefit to a Jew, he took that vow, then he has to buy for less than the price on sale. He has to buy it for less, and he has to sell for more. He has to overcharge. Otherwise, he'll be giving benefit. 1 second. Who benefits from a transaction? If we're dealing with the item was a flop, so then the seller is going to benefit. So v'bezvina d'rami alape, if it's an item that was a flop, afilu shava b'shava, why does he have to sell it? He doesn't want to give benefit, okay? Doesn't want to give benefit. So why does he have to sell it for more? Even if he sells it for the value, you said only the seller benefits, not the purchaser in that case. So if he doesn't want to give benefit, let him sell it for the actual value, and the purchaser will not be gaining. Again, he doesn't want to give value, so let him sell it for the actual. He doesn't want to give benefits, so let him sell it for the actual value if that's the item that we're dealing with. The Gemara answers this. Seifa b'zvina charifa. The end, we're talking about that it's a hot item. Charifa means sharp. But we're talking about hot. That's where the word hot, it's sharp things are hot. They call it hot, right? Like spicy. So it's a hot item. So if that's the case, then if he sells it for the actual value, then the seller is going to be getting benefit. If he sells it for the actual value, then the purchaser is going to be getting benefit. That's why he has to sell it for more. He has to overcharge. So the purchaser doesn't get benefit. If that's the case, then what are you telling me that he has to buy for less if it's a hot item? Afilu shava b'shava. Even if he doesn't buy it for less, even if he buys it for equal, he would be giving. If he gives it, even if he buys it for the actual price, he'd be giving benefit to the seller.
It's a hot
item.
You want.
So why does he have to underpay? Does he have to underpay not to give benefit to the seller? If it's a hot item, then even if he pays the actual price, he's not giving benefit to the seller. Because on a hot item, it's the purchaser that's gaining. Until he's being overcharged, the purchaser is gaining on a hot item. Just to have it is the benefit. So why is he allowed to? Why is he sell it? Why does he why does he buy it for less in order not to give benefit to the seller? If he buys it for the actual price, he won't be giving benefit to the seller. Because the purchaser gains from getting a hot item. We're thinking that it can only go, the benefit can only be going to the one of them, either the purchaser or the seller. So the hot item, it goes to the purchaser, the benefit.
Because he's bought a hot item for a market price.
Market
instead of the
price.
Super price.
Right. So he'd be the one that's gaining. So that should be fine.
Doesn't Shmuel hold that the buyer's the one that always?
Oh, so 1 second. Ella, rather, masnisen bisvina mitzvah. We're talking about in the Mishnah, where it's an average item. So if it's sold for its actual price, then both of them benefit. It's only when it's sold for too much that the seller is the only one that benefits. And if it's sold for too little, then the purchaser is the one that benefits. But we're talking about that it's not a special item and it's not a flop item. It's an average item. With the Shmuel, and what was going on with Shmuel, there's Vina Charifa. That was talking about where it was a hot item, and that's why it was all the benefit went to the purchaser. Tani Kava said Shmuel. You have a brisa that supports Shmuel's statement. Let's say someone, he buys utensils from a tagar. Tagar is like a
Target.
from Target, right? Tagar is like a broker, a salesperson. Now he bought it. He wants to sell it. He wants to not sell it. He wants to send it as a gift to his in-laws, father-in-law. Why does he want to do that? He wants to show that he respects his father-in-law. So, and he tells the person that he's buying it from, it's really like consignment here. It's not actually. If my father-in-law says, "Oh, that's exactly what I want," so then I need nice nachtameim. Then I'll pay you for the item. But if he sends it back, saying, "I don't need this," then I'm just going to give you the value that I got from making it look like I respect them. In other words, there's a certain benefit that he has from sending a gift, even if they refuse it. I'll give you that price. Yeah.
Just gotta tell you, it's funny. I opened up this Shas pad,
What does it say?
special Black Friday deal. Biggest discount ever on ArtScroll fully loaded iPads. Regular size pad, $750. 12.9-inch iPad Pro, $16.99. I'm saying
This
it's
is sale.
You went over the 8.
Dr. Stein is saying there's a sale on the Shas pad
Yeah,
in honor of Black Friday.
I don't understand.
We're trying to
That's
figure out
for
how it
John.
fits with this mission.
It's a hot item.
8 second.
I think the seller is going to benefit.
I think so.
8 second violation.
But it's an excellent thing to have.
Then, Sue, let's say an accident happens with he's sending a gift to his father-in-law. Bahalicha, if the accident happens on the way there, it's chayav.
He's chayav.
The buyer, the purchaser is chayav, because he was getting the benefit, and he's considered a borrower at that time. But b'chazara, if it's on the way back, then he's just returning it. He's not getting the benefit. Then he's just getting it back to the seller. Then he's part. Then he's going to be exempt. They should knesses sacher because he's considered like a paid watchman, not a borrower. So still be chayav for if it got stolen or lost, but it won't be chayiv if a total accident happened.
This is your Bailey. It's a Bailey.
Bailey is the watchman.
Paid Bailey.
Wouldn't it be like the opposite? The seller's responsible till the buyer takes possession.
Yeah, but it doesn't have. That's not how it works.
For example, in a car, if while they're going to deliver the car to the buyer,
Yeah, that's because they're delivering it.
but
That's-
isn't this what they're talking about here, like, on the way to on the delivery? Is that
No,
breaking
it's
the
this
delivery?
is the purchaser either himself bringing it or sending a messenger to bring it. So it's not. It's the delivery is not the seller doing the delivery. It's the purchaser that's picking it up. Yeah, so that he takes responsibility for this.
But if it's all Amazon that's doing the delivering. They
And
break it
so
all
by-
down.
today with Amazon,
Start with them with them.
they're responsible for it until you actually get it. They're covering that. They have these claims. I didn't get it, and this and that,
That's
and
why
it got
they
lost.
take FedEx take photographs
Right.
every time they drop the book, because people making claims they never got it. Show proof.
Cheating.
Someone put the wrong address and
Oh,
sent
yeah.
something to my daughter. Put in the wrong address, the wrong number. Anyway, we got a picture that it was sent to my daughter. So the person says, "Did you receive it?" My daughter said, "No." So she sent a picture that it was dropped off. Anyway, we looked at it at the front door. It was not our door. So anyway, we drove around the block to see like what it was. She found the door.
Did she have that?
Did she
It
get
turned out she ended up getting it, but it was,
That's funny.
you had to look at doormats.
I
These
ordered
doormats and
food once.
Oh, no.
No. I ordered food and it was delivered. I said this once before, it's too short, and they delivered it to the wrong house.
Right.
All right, and they
Yeah.
said when I called up, right, it was during COVID. They said, well, it was delivered, that people accepted it or this. They thought it was a present from the store. They
Oh, wow.
accepted this and that,
uh-huh.
and the store made me. Oh, you know what? They were nice in the end. I think they were.
You're off, you're done.
We have the Walmart deliveries
Seconds.
and the ladies chat. They said Walmart just dropped off this whole order. I didn't order it. And another woman says, "Oh, that was my order." And they connected, they're able to get it.
The shave from this.
Yeah.
Everybody loves happily.
Okay, who's Safsira? There was a Safsira is a broker. The Shakal Chamar Lizvuni took a donkey to sell Layizban, but it didn't sell. Hadi the Hadar, on the way back, Itnis Chamar. Something happened to the donkey,
Oh, yeah.
died, whatever. So Chayvi Reb Nachman L'Shlumi, Reb Nachman had him pay.
Lamborghini. This is a Lamborghini.
Right.
Instead of a gun.
So AC Rebbe of Nachman, 1 second. Why does he have to pay? So if an accident happened, Bahalicha on the way there, then he's chayiv. B'chazara, he should be pater. On the way back, he should be pater. He said he was considered a shemer sachar on the way back, a paid watchman. A paid watchman is exempt from aynas. Amalei chazar the safsira halachahi. Rav Nachman said that on the way back, if it's a broker, there is no way back. Everything is the way
That
there.
doesn't sound good.
No return.
Everything is the way there because he could sell it wherever he is. Even if he's on the entrance to the house, will he not sell it? So he'll make the sale even as he's bringing it back.
He was never. a
He's
paid
never-
watchman.
He's never a paid watchman, a broker. He's always considered a borrower. Okay, next mission, nice long mission. Says I forbid having benefit from an uncircumcised person. He's mutter barley Yisrael. He's allowed to have benefit from an uncircumcised Jew. An Arel means not circumcised, uncircumcised.
He's very young.
Now he's allowed to have benefit from an uncircumcised Jew because when he said an uncircumcised person, he wasn't referring to a Jew. He was referring to a non. That was his nickname. For a non-Jew.
It could be an adult, like when all the Russians came over.
Yes. Or sometimes they have Mesech of Machmas Mila, hemophilia. So if two brothers
That's right.
passed away from the bris, then you don't do it on the third. And then we said also if it was children from two sisters would be considered like brothers.
Is that third brother allowed to eat like Corbin face?
I don't think so. I don't think so.
Not even face of shame?
Right.
Anything?
Right. Well, but take a look at this. He can't have benefit even from a circumcised non-Jew.
Right.
Why? Because when he said uncircumcised, he didn't mean specifically circumcised or not circumcised. He meant the nation.
Did you say for sake we must carving?
I have Oivdei Kechavim. What do you have there? Umasailam.
Oh,
Censored.
But if he meant-
Mine is censored. Yours is not censored. Yeah. What does yours say?
Same as yours, of the Kochab.
This is the censored version.
but if he meant the nations, why is he allowed to have benefit from the circumcised Gentile?
He's not.
Okay.
He's not. He's not allowed to benefit from a circumcised Gentile because he meant the nation. Shani nena lemulim. He says, I'm not going to have benefit from people that are circumcised. Then Asr Barle Yisrael. Then even someone that was uncircumcised, but he's Jewish, he can't have benefit. Mutter b'mulei of the kechavim, but he is permissible to have benefit from a circumcised non-Jew. Shani nena lemulim. Yeah, even though the non-Jew was circumcised, he can still have benefit because he didn't mean the technical circumcised or not, he meant the nation.
So when there was like,
Right. No. He meant
Muslims are circumcised, they just do it later on.
yeah,
Well,
but
I
I didn't
thought you
think that
just
that wasn't
meant
referring to that to meant any non-Jew who he would be allowed to have benefit from, because when he said mulim, he meant Jewish. He meant circumcised, he meant Jewish,
Yes, it's
Yeah.
Oh, that's why.
Mutter b'mulei of the Kochab.
which means he would be allowed to have benefit from circumcised non-Jews, including Muslims.
That's
Yeah,
what
the
it's
problem
saying.
is that so he meant Jewish, not any nation of, right? Because the Arla is associated with idolatry or people that worship idols. Shenemar, what do you have over there? Umasailam? Ella L'Shem Goyim? That's what you have? No, before that. Before the pasuk. Ella L'Shem.
Shame of the Kochab.
Oh, you have Avdicham as well. Okay. Shenemar, Kikola Goyim Areilam Chol Beis Yisrael Ar Leilev. That all the non-Jews are uncircumcised and the Jewish people their hearts are uncircumcised. Another pasuk. It says it's uncircumcised Philistine. I think that was about Goliath. Lest the daughters of the Philistines rejoice, lest the daughters of the uncircumcised will be happy. So we're talking about the non-Jews are called Arelim. Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah Musi Arlash and Eskana Barashim says the foreskin is disgusting, and the wicked are despised. Is that the term? Disgraced. Shnemer kikol hagayim arelim. Rabbi Shmuel says Gedolim Mila. Circumcision is so great. It says 13 times in the section about Avram being circumcised. It says 13 times the word bris. 13 covenants are made with the bris. Rabbi Yaisi says circumcision is so great that it pushes off Shabbos. Because if someone is born on a Shabbos, the bris is on Shabbos, which is really we wouldn't do that type of procedure on Shabbos because it's a bris. We do. Rabbi Shua ben Karchaimer, Mila is so great that Moshe wasn't even given 1 hour of protection because when he didn't circumcise his son, he was almost died. Rabbi Nechemia says Mila is so great, circumcision is so great that it even pushes off a spot of leprosy. You're not allowed to cut off a spot of leprosy. But if there's a spot of leprosy on the foreskin, then you do the bris. which is a violation of the laws of Tzaras. See, Mila is even stronger than that. Rabbi Yomi Gedele Mila Shekol Mitzvah Shas Avram Avinu Leinikar Shalem Ad Shemal. Avram Avinu, all the mitzvahs that he did, he was only called complete after he had a bris. Shenemer Salech Lefanav Tamim, walk before me and be perfect. Tamim, be complete. Davracha Gedele Mila Shel Mali. Another saying here is that Mila is so great that if not for Mila, like Barak Kadosh Baruch Hu, Hashem wouldn't have created the world. So says God. If not for my covenant, day and night, Chukis Shemayim, the laws of heaven, V'aretz Leisamti, I wouldn't have made the heavens and earth. Let's leave it right there.
Wow.
Okay.